Welcome back to day 5 of how to set up your Set It and Forget It cash management system. So I'm Ann Lobos with North Star Consulting and Tax. I'm a CPA but also a business owner just like you, and I want to help you be able to set up a cash management system in your business. So that's what this series has been all about. So I'm sorry it took me so long to get this recorded. I was going to get it done on Tuesday, but then I had a tax deadline this week that kind of kicked my butt. So I got through that, got a day of rest, and here we are to finish up this series. So this is my favorite part of the series, but before we get going, let's start and we're going to review with what we talked about. So remember, cash management in your business, remember why it's important is that 70% of businesses fail, and the number one reason is cash flow. So if you can get a good cash management system set up in your business, you will be able to help eliminate that number one reason why most of the businesses out there are failing. Remember too, with this Set It and Forget It Profit First cash management system, you get to pay yourself first. You get to have your money set aside for your rainy day. You get to make sure you have your money set aside for your taxes so you don't get hit with an unexpected tax bill. And you will know exactly what your expenses need to be to make sure that you reach that profit target that you're trying to get out of your business. So remember, we've got our sales cake that we divided up. So this is my sales cake here, where we've got a piece of the cake is profits, a piece of the cake is owner's comp, a piece of it is, in my business, I have a piece that goes to charity, and then a piece that goes to taxes, and a piece that goes to expenses. So in a previous video, we talked about how to divide that up, and I did provide some ways that you could calculate that a little bit more to exact, but if you don't want to do any calculations, you can use these percentages. So we're going to put 1% to profit, 50% to owner's comp, 10% to taxes, and 39% to expenses. So, and then remember, this is what's going to happen. So we're going to use the same behavior you're already using, which is looking at your bank balance. We're just going to make that a little bit better. So we're going to have different bank accounts where we're going to track those pieces of the cake. So this cake, this bank account here is your sales. So you're going to collect all the money in here, and then you decided how often, in a previous video you just decided how often you were going to move the money from your sales bank account into your profit bank account, your owner's comp, your taxes, and your expenses bank account. And if you wanted to be really tricky and really manage that behavior, you move your profit bank account and your taxes bank account into another bank, so that when you pull up those balances on your phone, you're not seeing profit and taxes in those balances, and then you're not tempted to borrow from it. So remember, the money's going to come in here, and then however often you decided to move it around, you're going to move it to these different bank accounts. And what that's going to do is you're going to be able to look and see, I've got this much in my profit that's available, I've got this much I can pay myself, and I've got this much set aside for taxes and this much for expenses. No more mental math by just looking at one bank balance and figuring out where that money needs to go. Okay, so I think we're caught up. So hopefully you've got that set up. You've got all your bank accounts set up. Hopefully you've moved around the money once at least. And so today we're going to talk about these percentages. So these are the ones that we set up based on how your business is now. Now, this is great to go right now in your business, but this is probably not where you want your business to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out where you want your business to be so that we can work towards that. And that is the most amazing part of this system, in my opinion. So we're going to figure out, you're going to decide on what you want your percentages to be later. So we've got our now percentages, and then we've got our later percentages. And I just got these percentages out of the book. So remember that this method is based on this book, Profit First. So if you got this book, hopefully you do, if you go to page 68 of the book, it's going to give you some target percentages. So you don't even have to figure anything out. You're just going to look at what your sales are, and then it's going to tell you some target percentages. So these are the target percentages that we are going to use. And what's going to happen is you're going to start out with these now ones, but you're working towards these, and you're going to adjust your percentages every quarter. You're going to make an adjustment. So you can see right here, we started out with profit of 1%, but we're trying to get to profit of 5%. And then our owner's comp is okay, but our taxes are only at 10%, and we're going to need those to be at 15%. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a tax bill. And then what we're going to do is every quarter you're going to adjust those percentages. So right here, if you're trying to get from 1% profit to 5% profit over here, then you can adjust that by 1% every single quarter, and then by the end of the year, you'll be up at that 5% that you're trying to get to. And you're also going to adjust your taxes up. And so the way you're going to adjust that is you're going to have to take money from your expenses. So you're going to have to start looking at cutting your expenses. And that's a big part of this system, is really looking at those expenses and deciding which ones you really need and which ones you don't. Now, one of the things that I like to talk to people about with expenses is, that kind of helps me, is that when I'm looking at an expense in my business and deciding if I really need it, I look at that expense in terms of an annual dollar amount. So a lot of times we might be paying for like these subscription fees that monthly it looks like it's not that much money, but when you look at it over the course of the year, it can be a pretty good amount of money. And when you combine it with other ones, like, you know, you maybe have a $300 subscription, but then you have another $500 one. And so together that's $800 that you could cut from your business. That would be fairly easy, and that goes to you. So that's motivating for me when I'm looking at my expenses, kind of deciding, okay, I'm going to either pay this expense or going to pay myself. So which one do I want? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to, remember, now percentages, you're going to work towards your later percentages. So, let's see. I want to walk you through an example of this, just so you can kind of see how this is really powerful. So the other day I was talking to a hairdresser, and I asked her this question. I said, where do you want your business to be in a year? And I said, what do you want to take home from your business? So I didn't ask her what she wants her sales to be. I asked her, what do you want to take home from your business? And she said $40,000. Okay, well, that's great. So now with this system, with the way the percentages work, is you can actually figure out, if you know what you want to take home, you can actually figure out what your sales need to be. So if we're looking at these later percentages, the ones that we're working towards, if she wanted to take home $40,000, and that is going to be a combination of the profit and the owner's comp here. So that's a total of 55%. So to figure out what her sales needed to be, we just had to take the $40,000 and divide it by 0.55. And that gave us her sales amount, which was needed to be, it was like $72,723. So, but we'll just round that up. So her sales needed to be $73,000. Well, that was great. I mean, that gave her a lot better data, right, to make a decision. But we're going to take that one step further, and we're going to say, okay, $73,000 in sales, that still kind of doesn't mean a lot, right? Because what does that mean in terms of number of clients or the number of products that need to be sold? So we're going to convert that to numbers like that can really then help you understand where you need to be. So I asked her, on average, how much money do you make on each person that you do their hair? And she does a lot of hair for women, which, you know, us women, we have to go get our hair dyed every 6 weeks, right? So she said her average fee that she got off of each client was $500. So then all we had to do was take that $73,000 of sales and divide it by 500, and then we knew that she needed 146 clients. And she already had like 46 clients, which means to get to her take-home target of $40,000, she really only needed to get 100 more clients. So that is even more useful data than just sales, right? Because sales, great, 73,000, what does that mean? Well, now you've converted that to a number of clients, and 100 clients is a way easier goal for you to have than just some arbitrary sales number. So do you see how powerful that is? This is one of my favorite things about Profit First, and I use this in my business all the time. You know, I'll sit down and I'll do planning, and I'll think about, okay, what do I want to be taking home for me? Not sales, because I've had a lot of businesses that will tell me, well, I want my sales to be $1 million. And then I'll ask them, well, what is that? Like, what are you going to be taking home from that $1 million? And they'll look at me like, I don't know. Well, if you don't know that $1 million in sales means nothing. So you've got to figure out what you want to take home, and then you're going to back into your sales, and then that will give you a lot more useful data. So I think that's it. But isn't that so cool that you can kind of figure out what you want your sales to be just by starting with what you want to take home? And that's the whole reason you started your business, right? You were trying to get some sort of money that you got to take home that hopefully was more than you were getting paid before you started your business. So I want to thank you guys so much for sticking with me and watching this cash management series, and I hope that you learned something. And I really hope that you set up this system in your business so that you can stand up and be proud as one of those 30% of businesses that are going to make it because they've got their cash management figured out. So remember, this system is based on this book, so it's a good read, so I recommend you go get that book. And then also remember that I have an online course I developed that will help walk you through how to set that system up. I'll put the link to that in the comments when I post this video. And then the last thing I want to offer to you is, because you hung in there for this whole series, is I want to offer you a free 30-minute profit consult with me. Now, I have a spreadsheet that we can plop in what you want your take-home to be, and then it will kick out what your sales needs to be. And then from there, we can work through and convert that into a number of clients or a number of products, which is, again, a lot more useful data. So because you stuck with this, and honestly because I love talking about this with people, so it'd be super fun to talk to you, then I'm going to give you that free 30-minute consult with me. So I will put the link to that on how to book that in the post when I make it. So the last thing is I'm done with this cash management series, but in 2 weeks, I'm going to be starting a series with a financial advisor in my office named Sam Jones, and we're going to talk about business and taxes, and what taxes you have to pay as a business owner, how that affects how you file your taxes, because you're probably used to just filing your taxes on your own. So we're going to talk about how to file taxes, and most importantly, we're going to talk about how to save money on your taxes, because that's what it's all about. We're all about saving money and paying the least amount of money that we can to Uncle Sam. So watch for that series to start in a couple weeks, and have a great weekend.